Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Sorry, it cut out last time. So, in terms of the Trinity, we're open to debate that, I assume, yeah?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay, so is that pure monotheism?
Well, monotheism is a late term, and theism in the Christian tradition refers to the person of the Father, and by extension, the Son and the Spirit.
Okay, so that would make the Son God also, correct, or no?
Correct, because God is a generic term that can pick out different things.
Okay, then Jesus. It would be correct to say that you think Jesus is God, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and by God, we're in understanding that God is all-powerful and all the characteristics that God would be, right?
Right, the word God picks out different things. It doesn't have one referent.
Yeah, I'm aware. Well, you can stop me if I'm wrong. Like, God is all-knowing, God is all-powerful, God's not lacking in anything, correct? Like, we can agree on that?
Well, yeah, but God can refer to different things. So it depends on...
What do you mean by that?
The word God picks out different things. It doesn't have one referent.
I mean like God, like the creator.
God, we believe, can pick out the divine person, the divine nature, and the divine energies. It can also pick out an angel and a demon and a human. So God doesn't have a single...
So an angel can be God, and a demon can be God.
The word God has different reference. That does not mean that
I'm not talking about the word. I mean the being
I'm talking
God.
about... I know, but I'm saying that the word picks out different things even in God.
Like it can mean different things. Yes, I understand that.
Even in God, it picks out different things. Person, nature, essence, and operation.
Sure, okay. God, all-powerful, all-knowing, right? We can agree on that, like very basic thing, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, but God can reference the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, and Father, Son, and Spirit are all three all-knowing.
All three of them are all-knowing?
Correct.
Okay, then out of curiosity, why didn't Jesus know the hour?
Yeah, if you read letter 235 and 6 of Basil, he explains why that's a misinterpretation of the text. It's a use of rhetoric. Because elsewhere Jesus says, none is good but God.
What was that verse number? I'll look at it real quick.
Letter 236 of Basil, I'm just saying that's where he gives the explanation to this old Arian argument that Jesus didn't have omniscience. Because you understand there's other passages that talk about Jesus having omniscience, right? So it's a use of rhetoric, like when Jesus says, there's no one
good. Did you say letter 236? I'm sorry.
Basil. It's either 235 or 236. And I'm explaining...
What's the chapter part called?
Saint Basil, letter 235, 236. He gives an explanation, it's right around in there, of why and how we show that it can't mean that Jesus lacks knowledge. And
wait, is this not in the Bible?
Letter 236 of Saint Basil is a theological writing about what I'm just referencing the essay that talks about what I'm talking about. And it gives a lot of the explanations that I'm giving you, namely that the words, when it says that he doesn't know, are rhetoric, because in other places you have similar uses of that rhetoric, like there's no one good but the Father. Does that literally mean that nobody is good? Because other passages say that the Son is also good and the Spirit is also good. So it's a simple use of rhetoric.
Okay, so do you believe that the Bible is the Word of God?
In a sense, but ultimately, no, the Word of God is a person. It's a divine person identified with the second person of the Godhead in John 1.
So the Bible is not the Word of God.
You didn't hear what I said. I just answered your question.
It's a yes or no question.
No, it's not.
Like
that's maybe. A false dichotomy.
You said that
fallacy.
In between. That's very,
I didn't say in
God,
between.
I mean, this is a very simple question.
It's No, it's called a fallacy of either or.
This is about God.
Do you know what the fallacy of either or is?
Yes, it's either an apple or an orange.
Right.
And you're saying it's a little bit in between.
No, I didn't say. I never used the word in between. Don't put words in my mouth. What I said was.
I'm not.
I didn't say in between. You're putting words in my mouth.
You're like synonyms, man. Go ahead. Explain that.
Synonyms. No, I said very clearly that there's a sense in which the written texts are the Word of God. And then I said that ultimately that's not correct, though, because the Word of God is a divine person, the second person of the Godhead, identified in John 1.
Being.
So you don't understand basic terms. So you're giggling. All right, you're done.
No, I'm not.
You are giggling.
Okay. Yeah,
you have no clue what you don't know what you're
talking
talking about. So again, it's just people with no education, no knowledge. They can't do basic grammar when we talk about a word concept fallacy. You see the silliness of this. So words have different reference. You're not coming back on, dude. We're done. Goodbye. A word can have two different reference. This is called hermeneutics, right? This is how we interpret. This is the science of interpreting a text. And every heresy, as St. Basil says, trades on ambiguity and heretics thinking that words have one meaning. Not every heresy is based on that, but it's a characteristic of many errors and heresies to think that a word only has one meaning. And people get tripped up on Jesus using a figure of speech. Jesus uses figures of speech all the time, right? Like, cut your hand off if it makes you sin. Jesus trying to tell me to self-harm, dude. We utilize hyperbole in literature all the time, okay? When you go to read Dostoevsky, when you go to read Shakespeare, if you're an educated person and not a random goober who doesn't know anything about how to read, you don't automatically take every text literally. That's why it takes time to learn texts and how to interpret them, to learn exegesis, to learn hermeneutics. And one thing you learn is that you don't go to a passage or a text, isolate that text, and think that's the one text by which all the other texts are interpreted. Every Arian heretic does this. Jesus lacks knowledge, dude. It says right there that Jesus lacks knowledge, dude. Of rhetoric, exaggeration, hyperbole. Cut your hand off if it caused you to sin. He's not literally telling you to cut your hand off. It's hyperbole. Just like when he says there's none good but God. This is a grammatical thing. It's a usage in literature. Do people not know that hyperbole metaphor is used in literature? I'll bring you back on if you'll slow down. If you spurg out and spit out a bunch of megaliths, which doesn't back up the claim, I'm not going to bring you back on. Can you calm down and have a conversation? Go ahead.
Well, I actually do have something to say. It is an opinion, and an argument at the same time, and neither of them. So I'm just going to share it.
Okay. Go ahead, go.
And it'll take a moment. Okay. So momentarily, I will be donating $5 to Dyer. There are 700 viewers here. I'm talking to you all. If you all, that is, you all, donated a few dollars, would make a real difference. $5 is equivalent to the price of a hot and ready pizza. I encourage all of you to take a small step in good faith to promote this high-level, no bullshit dialogue facility.
I don't know what all that was about. Johann Sig, what's up?